The mentorship thing is what I feel is the biggest struggle for employers when they talk about apprenticeship. Because
Why you say that?
in your environment, Paul Pierce is helping you get better. You're on the same team. So him taking that time is benefiting the team, but that doesn't seem to translate for some reason in a lot of companies.
Then I started seeing like, okay, this was gonna keep me in the lead. I gotta do the little thing. I gotta outwork everybody. And that's what he told me. He showed me that, and I followed that. I used him as a mentor all throughout my career.
Wow. All right, we're in for another edition of the Growth Blueprint. I'm joined here with Tony Allen, former NBA champion, defensive player, and the heart and hustle mentality that we preach about that's so important for apprentices in the workforce world. Today we had a great event where we celebrated about 25 interns who, over the last 5 weeks, put some hustle and heart into their lives and their work ethic, and we had a great talk in front of them. And it's interesting because a lot of things have changed since our last episode. I mean, over the last few months, the apprenticeship world, maybe the last year, the apprenticeship world is in the spotlight. All of a sudden, it's a popular thing. I don't know how to handle it because it wasn't that cool or popular when we were talking about it before. Obviously, that's our work and our world. But now we have the timing where people are like, you know what? We can't keep up. And you saw the technology the kids were using today. The only way they could keep up is if they have a mentor by their side on the job. School is good for a lot of things, but even schools, colleges are struggling with keeping up. Mm-hmm. So the concept of mentorship, I mean, there was a lot of interesting things that came up because as we were talking earlier, internship versus apprenticeship, and you called it out, right? The difference is learning that specific skill versus like that general experience. A lot of times, just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you can like teach it. I don't know if you've experienced or seen someone that maybe has a particular skill set on the court, but doesn't mean they're going to teach you to do it the same way.
No, it's funny you say that, man. Through my career in playing basketball, you go to the NBA and it's like, all right, he was a great player, but then when it's time for him to present the X's and O's before we play the game and the strategies we're going to use offensively and defense, you like, this guy can't communicate. All through the film, he just saying, just get over there. And, you got to go hard over there. And what are they trying to do, coach? What are we trying to do, coach? And then you find that, but it's definitely a balance you have to, gather up as you go into that profession.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, as a fan watching, and, you see a lot of players, good players who go on to coach. And some of them you could see they have that natural ability, right? Maybe it's because they inspire you. But you're talking about the X's and O's. It's basically like the general – it's very different to inspire someone and teach them the X's and O's. If you are good at inspiring someone and the X's and O's, you probably something unique and special.
Yeah, you something like I would have to put Phil Jackson on that because some of these coaches, in my field, it's like, I know you got the ability. Well, can we teach you this? And you execute it consistently? Then not only that, defensively, what we trying to do, are you all in on this end, right?
Right.
And so that's the common ground you got to, even up because players certain times they don't want to hear. And then certain players, they look at the coaches for their motivation, and if you ain't giving it the right way, it's like you kind of lose. So it's like, man, I don't know. But I understand both workforces.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? So I had this experience. I wrote about it on LinkedIn a few weeks ago. So I'm living this lifestyle in Georgia. I'm learning about living in the woods. My wife's family out there. I'm grew up in New York City in the Bronx, right? And so there's a lot of new things I'm learning. Like, for example, country life. So we got a four-wheeler, right? I thought it was cool, we move in. All right, let me get this four-wheeler. And all of a sudden, it was making these noises. And, all right, what do we do? All right, I go online, look it up. Okay, you got to change the oil. So I asked my wife's stepfather, I said, hey, can you help me? Can you help me change the oil on this four-wheeler? He's like, yeah, 8 a.m., see you in the morning on the field. I was like, okay, do I bring anything? Like, am I just going to show up on the field? Sure enough, I get there 8 a.m., drinking my coffee. He's like, why are you drinking coffee? We got work to do. So he turned this into a real like level up experience. Like I was his apprentice basically.
Yeah.
And so he's like, all right, grab this, lift the car, go under. I'm like, you want me to go under this thing that you got lit? I'm like looking at it like this thing could fall on me.
Yeah.
But it's like this level of trust that you're supposed to have in a mentor. This case is dramatic because that truck could land on me. But again, he's got my best interest in mind. Unless they plotting something I don't know.
No,
But
no.
that's that blind trust that you got to have in a mentor when you don't know how to do something. For me, in the way you explained it, you don't believe in a defensive play or in a defensive approach, but you just got to trust the process. What do you think? What do you think about that?
I mean, all of that is your work, bro. It's what you put countless hours and time and effort into throughout your time and experience. So it's like when you get puzzled a little bit and when you like you see it all around the league, bro. It'd be so many guys like just say for LeBron, for example. He hired Akeem Olajuwon to come give him some post moves, which was genius because, okay, I'm LeBron James. I could pretty much do everything. I could shoot, I could dribble, I could pass. But what part of my game that I'm actually needing to get over the hump with? That was his post game. And if you look at how he's done over the years, he's got better and better at it. I wouldn't say he mastered it, but you could tell he's conscious of just the growth and getting better. And so when you say a mentor, yeah, you reach out to those as much as you can. That sometimes they realign what you're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for myself, I think the mentor that I had was Paul Pierce. Just me watching his work ethic. Here it is, a guy that's, like I say, the highest paid player. He's getting in here at the same time as the rookies. He's getting in here that early. I'm like, wait a minute, you ain't got to be here until 10:30, 11 maybe. Practice is at 12. Why are you here so early? And then you just look at some of the things that he is doing that then got him to that level. It's like, okay, now P, hey bro, how you manage to just get up and have that energy, bro? You paid already. He say, I want to keep getting paid, so I'm gonna keep putting in the work early, so I won't be disappointed when it's time for it to be a deal to be structured. I'm like, wow, that's professional. He was like, you right, it's professionalism. Well, I didn't say this professionalism. He told me it's professionalism. And I'm like, wow, that's professionalism. And then I started seeing like, okay, this was going to keep me in the league. I got to do the little things. I got to outwork everybody. And that's what he told me. He showed me that, like hands-on and in the physical, just like this is what I'm going to be doing. And I followed that, and I used him as a mentor all throughout my career. Wow.
So I guess I should be looking at it differently, that he was putting me under that car, under that pressure to change that oil and this.
Yeah, I promise you got to, man.
The mentorship thing is what I feel is the biggest struggle for employers when they talk about apprenticeship. Because
why you say that?
It seems like employers are saying, well, this person is too busy. This person doesn't have time to manage this person. But in your environment, Paul Pierce is helping you get better. You're on the same team.
Exactly.
So him taking that time is benefiting the team, but that doesn't seem to translate for some reason in a lot of companies.
So you get to these companies, I'm assuming, is it more of a inside competition, or?
It could be. I think sometimes there's like, oh, I'm going to train this person and let them know what I know, my skills, and then what? Are they going to be replaced? But I actually think it's more that they're worried that the time that they're taking to train someone might not, they don't have time for it. And I don't know if employers, because I guess in your example, was that part of the culture or was it part of an individual? You know what I mean? Like, was that something that came from the coach, or do you think that's something that's more organic, that Paul Pierce took the time to kind of talk to you in that way?
I know it's not coming from the coach. And also I had other veterans on the team that was in lucrative deals, and, you know, I was pretty curious of, like, how did you guys get this bread? And, like, why do you guys seem so comfortable around him? And I'm just so on edge. I don't want to do nothing wrong. And man, guys walking in there like, it was another day of practice. I'm like, this is work, bro. This is a job.
Wow.
And so I think it was more so like just Paul taking a liking into me as well, and giving me the game, and, you know, want to be alongside with somebody like myself who was in there going just as hard as he was, and keeping up with him, and, you know, ready to play one-on-ones and ready to go back to the weight room if we need be, ready to go back and get more conditioning. And I think he looked at that and was like, oh, yeah, this guy ain't just in here on some, I made it. No, this guy here is in here talking like, I want to stay here, and I'm going to do the things that keep me here. And I don't know, man. It's kind of surprising that don't go on in the workforce, in the team's mindset of things. I mean, it's supposed to be one team, one goal.
Yeah.
You figure your mentors and apprentices getting put in the same facilities, and they working and brainstorming and doing what they doing. Iron sharpens iron.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm surprised that it ain't going hand in hand.
And I think it's funny that we're having this conversation because it is, when I talk to employers and we help employers who are trying to figure out how to build an apprenticeship, probably the number one, at least number two, is about the mentorship piece, the piece that they feel like, but they don't have time. And you're saying all the things that check the boxes for me, right? Like the iron sharpens iron, totally agree. The investment of time is for the better of the team. So when we think about the mentors, I think in jobs where, like, if you show up day one as an electrician apprentice, you could carry a toolbox. If you show up in a welding, you could carry the tool. There's certain jobs where I think it's harder to explain what you do on day one. That's where I feel like it's been a big challenge. So, like, especially jobs like, okay, let's talk about AI and jobs like that are more cerebral and more you need to know a little bit more before you start. In your world, you come in with that hungry mentality as an athlete. You play ball in college, but you're making a different leap. You're playing in the league now. Mm-hmm. And so it sounds like from your perspective, you wanted to learn from the best. You wanted to learn from legendary folks on how they approach things. So maybe it's a two-way street that I'm not really thinking about. Maybe it's something about the way the apprentice can approach how they seek the mentor. What do you think about that?
It's going to be like music to your ear once you run into these situations. And normally, once you get some advice that you probably been searching and struggling to find, it's like you gravitate and grab on to that. So now that mentor is like, okay, yeah, you helped me in this direction. I was thinking about leaning towards, let's say, hell, making another Uber app, another extension to an Uber app. I got ideas in doing that. And you might have some suggestions in leading me to that action. So I think I'm really confused on how they don't go hand in hand. I'm really confused.
Two things that come to mind. First of all, like, especially building an app like GoSprout, you can't be too far ahead of the time. Almost like before COVID, nobody was really talking about Zoom and doing things online. It was like, that was like the anomaly. Then COVID happens, everyone's remote, you're doing video conferencing, and it creates a whole new sector of like Zoom and all these tools, right? Same thing with GoSprout. Apprenticeship's been around a long time, but it's not being picked up. And so I like what you're saying because there's something to say about how an apprentice approaches the mentor and makes them feel that they're learning. Because I think sometimes, perfect example, when I was working on changing that oil on that four-wheeler, I did a lot of work just to get to that. I never changed the four-wheeler's oil before. But when I showed up, I had a video that I looked at. I read some, stuff online. I tried to show him, I'm trying my best.
Yeah, no.
I never done it before. And I think it changed the way he looked at me. I didn't just show up with empty hands like, all right, what do I do? So I don't know if that's the same if you show up to Paul. You had to earn his ability to be like, I'm gonna invest in you, young man. Like,
no, for sure. Crazy, I'm about to go down memory lane with this one. But yeah, after I got drafted, we played Summer League. I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, played Summer League. So yeah, I get drafted in June, late June, and we playing Summer League mid-July. Okay, cool, that makes sense. When I first met Paul, the first thing he said was, I got 3,000 for every dunk. I left out of there with like 5-6 dunks.
That's another type of motivation right
there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my mentor, not only did he put the battery in my back, he saw that I was willing to work and go get it. And so
he put a reward out there.
And so I think, man, and then it's Paul Pierce, bro. Like, he was on the cover of Live 2000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I was a fan of him beforehand, so that helps too. So, and then another thing, when mentors is giving out good game, that's easy to pick up. You get what I'm saying? The delivery, I'm talking about, breaking it down in layman's terms or showing them, certain shortcut avenues to do something big, whatever field it is. Say electricians, whatever, mechanics, whatever the case may be, you gotta have somebody with a little charisma that make it fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember playing with Coach Hollins. Wasn't a fan of Tony Allen. Good friend of me today, but
yeah.
It was like he was trying to develop me as a young man into a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't just about his coaching philosophy. It was what he taught me off the court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How to be a good person. And every day he would come with just some type of, word of the day or some type of scripture or some type of, what they say back in the days. And he'd just give me that little game and I would be soaking it up. And it was go so far in my everyday life.
Wow. Yeah, that's funny because a lot of times when you look back in life at some of those hard moments with people, you probably can look at it a little differently. Like my 5th grade teacher, I was convinced she hated me. Like she pushed me that back then. I thought I used to go home and tell my mom, like, nah, she just doesn't like me, Mom. She just doesn't like me. And it's because she wasn't settling for what I was producing.
Right.
But when you're young, it's hard to accept that. So I feel like apprentices, if you're learning from someone and they're so used to teaching something a certain way, and that way may not be activating you, something got to give, and probably is you than that person.
No, for sure.
We had that experience. So all right, let's go back. So I'm working on this oil. I must have found the wrong booklet because I told him that we had to lift it up. The video I saw had the oil filter like on the bottom. Turns out it wasn't there. So we lifted the car. We didn't need to lift the car. We could have done it easily. And in my head, I was embarrassed. I'm not used to being vulnerable. I'm used to knowing what I'm doing. That was a situation where I was like expecting him to kind of be like, damn, like make fun of me or something. He was like, well, at least we learned how to lift it. And that was really interesting for me because he could have been upset about the fact we did something we didn't have to do, but he looked at it like, at least we learned something. And I feel like that's where we got to lean towards, because if you're learning from someone who's an expert and they're taking time to teach you, it may not come the exact way you want to be taught. There's going to have to be some give and take in that relationship. How did you work with that mentality when some people who were coaching you potentially were like, not activating Tony the way Tony could activate?
Well, that's easy, man. All my coaches I felt didn't activate me like how they supposed to activate me. And what I believe in, I believe in tough love. I'm a little thrown off. I always felt like if you ain't, talking to me, or if you're not like staying on me, like literally cursing me out, that mean I done got out of your thought process. I think you think I'm satisfied with where I'm at right now.
Wow.
And complacency has always been, I've been running from it from my whole career. What happens is you get complacent, right? And you get into these environments, and before you know it, it's somebody else working harder than you. It's somebody else brain thinking faster. It's somebody else being more creative. It's somebody else having a little more ambition about themselves to be great. And so I always ran away from that. And so when role change maybe, or you're not a starter, or, mentally I stay strong. So all I got to do is just stay consistent on my 5 P's, proper preparation to prevent poor performance. Because when my time comes, I'm going to show out. I'm going to show out. You give me an opportunity. That's all I need is an opportunity.
Yeah. So one of the best phrases I ever heard, I don't know who shared it, it was learning doesn't feel like learning when it's happening because it's uncomfortable. Both doesn't feel like learning because it's uncomfortable. And so a lot of that has to do with like when you get feedback. And sometimes in certain situations, if you're playing in something really individual, let's say like a sport like tennis, you can be stubborn. If you're winning and you're stubborn in tennis, you're winning. It's not affecting
You're the guy.
You're the guy.
Yeah.
But in a team sport, like in a team company, if you're not adjusting to the culture and the plays that are being written, you're going to stand out, not always in a good way. So you got me just thinking that the feedback is important, but you might not get it the way you think you want. But you brought up the fact that that could be just tough love. That's a way that's still. And so for me, what I'm hearing is the mindset of the mentor is also the approach and mindset of the apprentice. It's a two-way street.
Yeah, and you also, within that, I think what all my coaches did well, they understood their players. Because it was certain guys, I had certain teammates who would be like, okay, well, you just can't yell at him. He might shut down. TA, you might need to scream at him a few times. And it was like, okay, yeah, scream at me a few times. Okay, here go a steal. Here go a putback. Here go a charge. Here go a stop. Then when you wasn't saying that to me, it's like I'm just floating. And I don't know.
You got fired up with that approach. I remember there's a couple of videos I've seen where you hitting the floor, but that you just ran back all the way, swatted, blocked.
And 9 times out of 10, my coach probably said some dumb stuff, and it was like, I'm gonna show his ass. You know what I mean? I always had that mentality, but when you are an apprentice, it's like, okay, it's somebody you want to show out to.
Yeah.
Right? So whoever that mentor is got to do his due diligence in guiding you and steering. Yep. You already the talent. You get what I'm saying? All those kids we just was in there watching, they already the first round draft picks.
Right.
That 25 in there, those were first round draft picks. Now within those draft picks, you might have some who are a little smarter, some who are a little more creative, some who are a little more whatever. The mentor is going to help them do all of what they doing. And hell, it might even elevate them.
Yeah.
And they become MVP. They become the pushing of the world.
First team all defense.
First team or whatever they come up with. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, when I saw them today, I was so impressed with them, and my whole thing was just to let them know to keep grinding, keep going. Because, I mean, you sit around trying to make something all day, you'll be in the hell with this. I'm going to get pizza and drinks. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? You could easily be distracted, and you could easily give up. And so my whole thing today was just keeping them to push, telling them to keep pushing, keep going, keep grinding, because that's what this program was for. You know what I mean?
I think we identified the issue. So it stood out to me when you said that the team had to do their homework. They had to know the player. And I think that's it. I think the employers are not as patient and don't do enough homework on their talent. I think that becomes an issue. And I've heard of programs that the apprentices start and nobody realizes that they're an apprentice.
Right.
Because the apprentice is basically saying, I'm not going to get paid the same because I'm learning. I'm getting paid something, but I'm not going to get paid what that guy makes or she makes yet. I want to get to that part. But there's something about, because the retention rate in apprenticeship is like 28%. It's low.
Slow.
A lot of people do not make it. But when they make it and finish, 94% stay on the job. So the whole point is you got to finish, but the prize is there. The job is there. So something's to be said, well, why are they falling out so much? And you just hit it on the head when you said they got to do their homework. There's got to be more intentionality about employers knowing their talent. Not necessarily just what ticks them off, but what motivates them. And these are where we have to do a lot more. Because, like, you get drafted, I'm sure they did a lot of homework on you.
Just did they?
They're asking everyone.
Investigator, everything.
And so when we think about apprenticeship, they want to do the same thing. So because this talent, like you identified the talent, these high school students, these apprentices are talent. And we're trying to convince the employer, do your homework. Just try a little more. Get to know the person a little more. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's what we think is the big issues, is that unless you already have a program, employers are not being patient enough to see the value in creating. It's a culture change. If you do not have an apprenticeship program and you're just hiring the best, you don't always get the first pick in the draft.
No, and,
you know what I mean?
That goes on all the time. I mean, you might draft a guy, right? 17, 18, right? 19. Like, oh, he'll be a good piece, right? But then he turned into Jokic, the Joker. You see what I'm saying?
And legacy changing.
So that's why I say know your players.
Yeah.
Know the people that's coming into the program. Understand their tendencies, communicate with them.
Yeah.
And so that way you will know how to approach them and steer them in the directions that they need to go. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for you to come in and be like, okay, this kid isn't attentive. This kid isn't giving me energy. This kid is lackadaisical. Same thing with Jokic. He came in the league. He was getting crossed over. He was kind of out of shape, you know.
Yep.
But before you know it, he stayed with it, stayed working. Now he's considered one of the best to ever play the game as a center. And so I like the fact that the process of anything. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go through it to grow through it anyway. It's like, and then it's hard to even stand. So, like, once in the NBA, like, it's 2 to 3 years. That's your expansion in the league. You got 2 to 3 years to crack. But once you make it past that 4th, 5th, 6th year, it's almost like it's a guarantee you're going to have a 10-year career. You get a 10-year career, you get pension rest of your life. And so the goal is to stay here long enough to be able to provide, not only provide for yourself and your family, but you become the mentor now. Like I became, like why are we talking? I'm like an NBA mentor right now. You'd be surprised how many rookies, how many guys that play in the playoffs, they call me and be like, yo, I'm having a hard time. I know I'm a pro. I'm a pro, right, TA? But TA, it's the screen that keep coming on the blind side. I'm gonna need. It's coming so quick. How do I get under? Do I go over it? Okay, he's a right-handed guard, but he loves going left, and like all these kind of questions. Now I become the mentor now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So now I pass the game down, and now before you know it, there's certain guys that I don't want to say their name right now, but they became all defensive players from that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so I love it.
I didn't even think about it that way. I mean, you're talking about knowledge transfer. You're out the game now, X number of years. By the way, congratulations on that retirement of the jersey. I mean, that was an incredible experience. That knowledge transfer, that you're available, I think that's the other piece with apprenticeship that comes up because you're so even though that person is on this other team, this is like in your fabric. This is your DNA to support and mentor. And people recognize that, so they go to you for that. And I think what you said, as a fan watching on the outside, we know when a team hires someone who's a veteran because they just drafted a particular person. I think being in Miami, we saw that a lot with UD. We saw UD in a position where he was active on the roster, but he served as that mentor. So that to me is like part of a culture change. So when an employer's like, you know what, I think we're going to do this apprenticeship program, they tend to go to their other like employees that have been around for a while, and they probably have these conversations. Guys, what do you think if we start an apprenticeship program here? What I'm trying to say is like building an apprenticeship program is a mix of like top decision makers saying let's do it, like ownership or head coach. But then there's also like you got to get the buy-in of some of your key people if you're making a key culture change. So I don't know if that resonates for you because it sounds like you transition from being that apprentice learning to being, after X number of years, they calling you now. So what did you change in your approach, or how did you keep in mind what you went through early in your career when you give advice and mentorship?
Oh, the experience is everything, man. I mean, I could talk it from, our style of play back then. Our style of play back then was a little bit more physical. Right now they letting you go and move is how you want to move, and the defensive players really at fault anytime it's a foul call. But I think just that knowledge and understanding X's and O's and understanding formation. Like, it's like if a team, like, I could break it down by watching the game before they even call. I know the formations that they in. I know the defense that their opponents are, giving towards them.
Yep.
I can break that down so fast.
Wow.
And so by the time they call me, it's like I done studied the player that's giving them fits already. And so now we just having dialogue. I could look at a formation and tell somebody, okay, this is a horn set. I could look at somebody in their primary break and know when they going right into a wedge roll. A wedge roll is when a big is picking the guard is getting out of the way, and the big is going to set aside pick and roll. Now within that, I know if I am the low man while my man is going through, I have to stay and be the low man for my big because my big is going to be helping the guard coming off from the guard coming to the middle. So now by the time they talk to me, I'm already telling them, push him left, force him left each time. Deny the swing pass. You know what I mean? I'm giving them little hints that they should already know. And then sometimes they'd be like, man, why our defense don't say do that though, TA? But your ability, your effort, and your knowledge, you ahead of the game. Because I'm the mentor. I'm giving you the game. I'm first team.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because you're talking, and it reminds me of this thing I saw that said, you're not paying me for how long it takes me to do the job. You paying me for how long it took me to learn to do it that fast, right?
And put it in a small package to get to you. Well, you don't even have to go through that.
That's what I'm saying. That's the core of apprenticeship right there, is this person who's done it for this number of years, packaging it for you so that you don't have to go bump your head the same way and learn faster.
Exactly. I'll give you another example. I had a kid named Josh Jacks. He went to Kansas. real talented kid, real top. I really wish he was still in the league. Right? And so what ended up happening, I had got a chance to work with him, alongside him, and just, pretty much do the things Paul Pierce did with me, have him come to the gym at night. And at this time, before I did all this, I'm going to tell you, he was on his way out the league. He had went lottery, you know what I mean? He was one of those kids where you say, he's going to be the guy, right? But the things that he lacked was accountability, professionalism, understanding where you got drafted at, and everything you had to lose. So my whole part of working with him was just to put everything in one order.
Yeah.
And that's basketball is the main thing. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. You know what I mean? All the other extracurriculars, let's throw it out the roof. So he stuck with me for about and mind you, he wasn't playing. The organization, they said, we're not playing him. He don't understand what's going on. So once I got with him, I showed him the absolute tools that you're going to need to move forward and to be a professional. Within 2 weeks, Carlos, I promise you, he was on the court, came back averaging maybe 15, 16 points a game, huge impact. They were saying he wasn't coming early, came early.
Wow.
They saying he wasn't staying late, he was coming staying late with me.
Wow.
You saw his game, he got in better shape, you know what I mean? I told him to chill on the extracurricular activities as far as going out and hanging out.
Right.
And within that 2 weeks, he came back and made a drastic impression. I'm talking about, everybody was like, yo, what it is. And he went online and said, TA was been working with me. He's been giving me the things that I need to use to be able to maximize my game and be a professional in this league. He later went on and signed a 2-year, $10 million deal, right?
Wow.
After all the trouble he had got in prior. I kind of want my flowers for that. You know what I mean? Because it's I could have easily been one of them, the mentors that be
gave up.
Man, he
ain't budging.
Man, he ain't trying to do nothing, man. He ain't trying to, I could have had that mentality.
Right.
But I ain't want to do that. I came to the point all right, bro, you can be a $60, $70 million guy if you go ahead and just apply these little things to your professionalism.
That's interesting because another issue sometimes with employers is they're not patient. And when they think about talent, that raw talent you mentioned, but if you don't have these other little pieces, that doesn't mean anything. You got to combine. It's got to be a package deal. And I think the apprenticeship is supposed to be over time, especially talent that's not used to people investing in them and believing in them. If they get in a situation where the mentor isn't taking the right approach, they're going to group them with the rest of the people who don't believe in them. They're going to be like, never mind. And so I think that has something to do with the way we look at the retention rate and why we don't see more people starting the program. If you feel like the person who's giving you advice doesn't, it's almost like you as TA, you got the pedigree for it. And sometimes some people think they can only get that advice or feedback from someone who's been in the trenches and has done it. So I think that's part of what's happening with the school system. A lot of times teachers who have been only teachers or colleges who have only professors who haven't necessarily been on the front lines, there's a big disconnect from showing it in a room where you haven't done it and trying to translate that to a person. I don't know how confident people are feeling now because things are changing so fast. You're not getting it directly from the source. That's what an apprenticeship is. You are the source as a mentor. So the mentorship piece is a big deal. The culture piece is a big deal because the people on the front lines often can't do anything about it. And the people upstairs don't often know how hard the challenge is. But the data is there, though. The skills gap, the number of jobs that people are worried about AI replacing them. And they are. People are getting replaced.
Yo, it's funny you said that about the AI, man, because I'm seeing a lot of robots around the town, man. I done seen so many damn robots, from a car to delivering stuff. Yeah. I just saw one in the airport with the wheelchair assist.
Oh, wow. Companies are always looking at the bottom line. What can they do cheaper? What can they do faster? Sure. But normally it's like, what can we do to save some money? So you invest in this equipment, and then the same person who's pushing the person in the wheelchair or the person who's driving the car, you start to remove those people, and that becomes less expense. And I think that's the mentality that we're working with people to teach them. Like, don't let AI replace you. And they're like, okay, who do I go to not be replaced? Because my school can't keep up. They just added AI to the curriculum this year. And what we're trying to say is, well, you can only learn from the people directly doing it. That's why the apprentice in the robotics example, we need more apprentices in robotics because you still need to fix that thing when it breaks down. If that wheelchair robot or that car or that other delivery thing, somebody somehow either programs it or needs to do a repair. And that's a different mentality because we're teaching the students need to know that, or not even a student or a young person, a career changer. If you were that delivery person pushing the person in the wheelchair in the airport, more than likely you're going to be replaced. So what you're going to do to enhance your skill set to not be replaced. So that's what we're seeing.
You just broke that down to me all the way. So, dang.
I'll try to use an example because, the popular type of player in the league now is like you got these tall guards, right?
Yeah.
Where before it was common to find like a 6'1", whatever guard. Now you 6'1", you on the shorter side. So it's almost like the culture shift changes where you try to get more than one, you try to kill 2 birds, 3 birds with 1 stone. So with that robot, you don't need the person who brings it. You don't need to deliver it. You just eliminated 3 roles in your business, which means you save money, you save time, except it takes a little bit of time for you to get to that place because some of these things are not fully working properly. And it also is like liability stuff because what if a robot pushing that wheelchair, I'm guessing nobody was in it. But these are things that we're seeing, bro, right?
When technology fails.
Yeah, when the technology fails.
So pretty much what you're saying is when you go to the apprenticeship program, that skill or that trade that you learning, you're going to need us humans.
Yeah. You cutting the middle person out. An apprenticeship is like, okay, you kind of need some schooling, but you need to be right next to the person doing it.
Doing it, right. and that's kind of hard for somebody to actually go to a lot of these situations and got to learn from a robot or AI or something. Like it don't seem like it, because I'm trying to compare it to basketball.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't imagine listening to a robot telling me I need to jab and get to the middle and step back. And like, how far they want to go with this AI stuff? How far do they want to go with these bots?
I think I love the use of AI in things like sports. I'm a coach. I teach my son baseball, right? So I got all types of apps and stuff.
Right.
I'm looking. He's 8 years old. I'm like, you swing right here. You're late. Your foot to the left. Yeah. So I'm using it, right? But it reminds me of the way when you talk about how you used to prepare, you were watching video of every person you were going to defend, right?
I promise you.
So like, that level from just watching video, now there's like all these other data points. Now you probably, it's already giving you certain things. Naturally, as a player, you also learn. But now, when we think about, I look at baseball and these guys in the outfield, when a batter comes up, they're looking right here. And they're looking at probability of where this ball is going to be hit. And this stuff, this data science, all that data, it's a game changer. What's happening, though, is like, to your point, learning from the robots. I would say a bad teacher is like a robot. Or someone, if you're in school and you're watching a video and then you got to go do something, it's different than me saying, come on, TA, let's go change this oil in this four-wheeler.
A lot different. Because I'm going to be showing you why I'm up under that. Yeah. You got to keep your hand on the carburetor. But come on, Jake, what you doing, Los? Come on, put your hand up here.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Like you can see that as opposed to having to read the instruction. Okay, this is the carburetor. This is just an example, but I'm just saying.
No, it's exactly right.
Like, I think it's more beneficial than that. Now, they can be helpful in certain ways.
Yeah, well, you combine the video, but you also did the work. It's a combination of the learning piece with that. But we started to rely too much on just like the classroom academics piece. Again, doesn't mean it's not important, but what's more important is doing the on-the-job stuff. Mm-hmm. You can accelerate someone's learning by having the right, program in front of them. The example you used with Josh, right? What's his name? Like, if you think about, you package your experience and said, I'm going to trim all the fat right here. We're going to get right to the core of what's going to get you a $50 million, $10 million deal, whatever it is. So it's almost like you working side by side. Like, listen, hit my head here. The car almost fell on me one time here. This happened to me here. If you sit right there and you do it from here, that's not going to happen to you. That, to me, is what I appreciate about that experience with my father-in-law. Don't get me wrong, it was early in the morning. He didn't want to be out there with me. He's retired. But guess what? He teaches me to do that the first time. I don't have to call him every other time I need to change the oil. And so I think as an apprentice, it's your job, your responsibility to be curious, to ask questions. Take that. If I got 10 minutes with you, 5 minutes with you, and you're telling me something, I'm going to try to milk that 5 minutes as much as possible.
That's the same thing with athletes. You'd be surprised. And I called it politicking, but you would be surprised how much of that go in your favor once you go ask coach, hey, yo, coach, I know I posed a back screen on this play, but how about I slip the back screen? You think I'll be open? Because it's a lot of the space is pretty open on the backside with Ray Allen being the knockdown shooter. I think I could be open off this back screen. Like just little stuff. You know the answer to it, but you want clarification and you want to see what coach says. And not only that, I say it's politic because now once you walk away, coach saying, "Oh, this boy know the plays. Oh, he know. Oh yeah, okay. Tomorrow we gonna try to throw something else at him. Since he's alert, he's attentive, he's gonna help us." That go right into the coach's head. Soon as you let it be known you asking questions about how we can be better. It sound like politicking, but right there in that situation, the connection is there and it's a lot of room for growth. You know what I mean? That's what I believe.
It's almost like it becomes a joint decision at that point. And you know, I coach first base, right? And when they hit and they run and I'm sending or I'm not sending, the toughest person to guide, turn around first, is my own son because he tries to turn everything into a double. I'm saying, and so one time he got thrown out by a mile, right? And he's looking at me. He's like, "You sent me." I said, "I did not send you." He was mad at me, and we had to talk about that. Say, hey, if there's a misunderstanding, they don't always have to be someone wrong. Learning sometimes is not about blame. Learning is about, you know what I mean? Learning could be a learning experience on its own. But what I feel like what you're doing is you get into buy-in. When you get to buy-in, it means it's like one more step of responsibility. For me, that's actually a great thing to do on the job site. Because in my head, like, I had to feel a little bit humbled and appreciative that he's out there helping me change the oil, man. I do. I mean, could I have done it with YouTube and all of that? Probably 5-6 hours. I mean, hopefully kept my fingers and all of that. But having him there with his time, to me, I wanted to ask him other stuff. So we open, because you take advantage of that opportunity while you're there.
Like I said.
While we under the hood.
Like I said.
Tell me about this carburetor or whatever it is, you know?
The mentor helps you and he reboots you and he probably might steer you into something. Like I said, it's going to make you elite in all facets. You know what I mean? So I love it.
In our last episode, we talked about kind of like the on-the-job training piece. We talked about all the kind of components in apprenticeship. You know, it's a job, they're paid. I really wanted to hone in on this mentorship piece because I think the administration right now has a whole push to get to 1 million apprentices. We got like 650,000. And the big push means that we got to get big employers to get involved. So these are big employers. It's like you can't just push one button and it changes. Big employers require a lot of buy-in, a lot of like, you know, it's not like a team of 5 or team of 10 that you can just overnight say, tomorrow we're going to switch and we're going to run the Princeton offense, right? Like, it takes a while to build to that. And what we're trying to do with GoSprout as a software is saying, we're doing the heavy lift for you. But you know what we deal with? The trauma that they think they can't be, they can't run an apprenticeship program. So our biggest challenge is people being like, nah, we tried that before and it didn't work, but you ain't try it with this. It's almost like you get a player, right, and you get a 3-point specialist because you think that the season before your data is showing you that if you had if you had someone who could make higher percentage threes, you're going from a 500 team to a playoff team. Have you seen that? Like, how have you seen big cultural changes in like going from one approach to another approach?
Simple. The Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic.
That's right. You know,
like, you become a makeshift group once you lose somebody that valuable. Because you could never replace that talent. You never could replace that phenom or whoever it is. But what you do, you work for it as a committee. We do it by committee. You know what I mean? And so in a lot of situations, it's like we don't have Luka controlling the offense and getting everybody involved. We might be a little puzzled, right? But now it's time for us to implement something else and something new. And is it going to be perfect right off the rip? No. But this is something that we're going to gradually get to and work at, which they did.
Yeah, you're right.
They end up, Kyrie got hurt, but they still made the playoffs.
Right.
You see what I mean? And they played the Memphis Grizzlies, obviously. But one game, and we got a chance to see Anthony Davis.
That's right.
How that Memphis Grizzlies Dallas matchup looked like. But I thought that, they lost a big piece, and things have got a little haywire, but they pulled it back in, executed, found the offense that could sustain them to the playoffs.
Yeah, I love that analogy. You don't know why that is so true, right? It's almost like what you're saying is you're taking a risk. Something's changing. You're innovating. With innovation comes the possibility that it ain't going to work. They could have lost every rest of the game, but they tried to create the right other pieces, activate the right people. So to me, that's great advice for an employer. If you are afraid of launching an apprenticeship program because you think that's not your style or it's not part of your playbook, losing a key player, franchise player, a history player like Luka, and still make the playoffs means that you're going to land somewhere, and now you have a chance to add the other parts. Are they a playoff team next year? We shall see. But I love that advice because when you change cultures, you're changing philosophies. Most people think that equates to failure. There's something about that mentality that it's so what do? You use good tools. You know, so yeah, no, I mean, I think it's an interesting point. Any other moments where you feel like a big philosophy, were you a part of any of those philosophy changes or something happened where you had to adjust into a whole new type of system?
I would say my rookie year.
Yeah.
That was probably the biggest adjustment from being a scorer, being looked at as, like I told you, like everybody in my neighborhood told me I was going to the NBA.
Yeah.
I had elder people, I had truck drivers, hoodlums, whatever you want. My whole neighborhood, whatever in my neighborhood, they'd say, hey, better stay away from them young boys over there, which was Ron, Reggie, Sconey, my friends, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, do I listen to them? Because the villagers is raising me. You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it was like all about me just having that mindset, really. So look, my rookie year, bro, I was a scorer. When I got to the Boston Celtics, it was like,
we're good here. We're good with that.
Welcome. Gonna draw these plays up, all right. They about to give me the ball, I'm about to go to work. That's what I'm thinking, right? They was like, hey, man, go stand in the corner over there.
Option
He'll pass it to you when he get tired. I said, what? And it was right then.
Humbling.
Damn, like, so they don't view me as that type of guy, right? But you fast forward, you pick up all the mentors, whoever gonna come give you the game, you soak all that up, and 14 years later, I'm considered one of the best defenders that ever played the game.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So how I started ain't finna be how I'ma finish. Being that piece to the puzzle, like I was talking about it, be a star in your role. See, I was a star in my role. I didn't have to be the poster
all
kid.
Of it,
You know what I'm saying? The commercial child. I didn't have to be that. But you gonna respect and know what I do on the simple strengths that I'm gonna go 110% and being that piece to the puzzle. That's what you want me to do? Honestly, I really wouldn't care if you just had me going to grab Gatorades for the guys. I'd have been the best Gatorade passer in the world today. You feel what I'm saying? And why you need that? Why do you need that? Because camaraderie. You need that togetherness. You need to have that one team, one goal mindset. Ain't nobody bigger than nobody. You know, we used to go by this thing called Ubuntu. It's an African proverb word that we used throughout the championship, right? Ubuntu, meaning I need you to be better so I can be better. You know what I mean? And we're better together as we move forward. You know what I mean? If you down, I'm here to lift you. Same way. We going to do this together. Pretty much, you could Google the word.
Yeah, no.
I lost the definition a little bit, but I'm on point with it.
It makes sense.
And you could apply that to any workforce, I believe.
Yeah.
Like, just think about it. You got two kids they working on that little bike or whatever.
Yep.
And it was pretty awesome too. I like what they did. They got the go-kart with the 2025 features on it in your today's car. You saw that, right?
Yeah, no, I saw that, man.
In a situation like that where somebody's they like, yo, it's something we need to do to keep it going over because you make a sensor noise or somebody coming up with that idea. Then there's somebody coming up with, okay, yeah, we got to have anti-lock brakes on it so we don't want to hurt. Like, they all creatively putting their minds together, right? So then it's like before you know it, we done came up with that display and it was phenomenal. So just stay a part of your role. Just win in your role. Win in your role.
Well, I think that's finishing on a high note. And it, you know, for me as a leader, like this building GoSprout, I need smarter people than me around the table. You know what I mean? My CTO, my CRO, like the team has to excel in their roles. To your point, you got to know when to adjust. you showed up rookie year, you embraced that. And the fact that you said you don't always have to finish how you start is such a powerful statement. We are better together. We're better with Tony Allen as an advisor on GoSprout.
For sure that.
This is the Growth Blueprint, episode 2.